Let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at your life and thought, why do I feel stuck when nothing is technically wrong? Your life looks fine on the outside. You're doing the right things. You're responsible. You're showing up. But something still feels off. If that's you, I want you to stay with me because today we're talking about why feeling stuck is not a failure. It's actually a signal. You might just be out of alignment. If that's you, I need you to hear this. You are not failing. Something deeper is happening on the inside. And today we're going to talk about it. This is True Shift, where purpose meets courage and real transformation begins. Here's something we don't talk about enough. You can be successful and still feel empty. You can be accomplished and still feel disconnected from yourself. And here's the kicker. You can love God, show up for others, and still feel like something is missing. That doesn't make you ungrateful. It doesn't make you feel weak. And it definitely doesn't mean you are failing. It usually means you've outgrown something and your soul is trying to get your attention. There was a season in my life where on paper, everything looked good. I had a solid career. I was handling my responsibilities. People around me probably thought I had it together. I remember nights when sleep wouldn't come, tossing and turning, staring at the ceiling with a heaviness I couldn't put into words. Nothing was wrong, but nothing felt right either. That's when I learned alignment has nothing to do with appearances. So how do you know if you're out of alignment? Let's talk about the signs. You might feel stuck, not because you're doing something wrong, but because your life is calling for a shift. Let me show you what those signs might look like. Sign number 1, you were tired, but rest doesn't fix it. You sleep, you take breaks, you unplug, but the exhaustion stays. I'm not talking about physical tired. I'm talking about the kind of tired that sleep doesn't touch. You wake up already drained. The thought of the day feels heavy. You can't explain why. That's often a sign you're pouring energy into something that no longer fits. I remember going to bed early, getting a full night's sleep, and still waking up drained. And I finally had to admit that this wasn't a physical tired. It was emotional. I was exhausted from living in spaces that no longer fit who I was becoming. Sign number 2, you feel restless or irritable. Small things start bothering you. You feel an edge. You don't feel like yourself. That's often your inner voice saying, something needs to change. Things that never bothered you before suddenly feel overwhelming. You're snapping more, pulling away more, zoning out more. That's not a personality flaw. That might be misalignment showing up emotionally. Sign number 3, you keep procrastinating on important decisions. You know what you need to do, but you keep putting it off. Not because you're lazy, but because you feel resistance. You know what you should do, but you can't bring yourself to start. That's usually fear mixed with uncertainty, not a lack of discipline. There were decisions I knew I needed to make, conversations I needed to have, and I kept delaying them. Not because I didn't know what to do, but because I was afraid of what would happen if I actually did it. Procrastination isn't always laziness. Sometimes it's fear. Sign number 4. You feel spiritually distant. Your prayers feel routine. Your faith feels quiet. You believe, but you don't feel connected. Sometimes that's not about God being distant. It's about you living out of alignment with who you are becoming. In sign number 5, you keep saying, something has to change. You don't know what yet. You don't know how. You just know this version of your life doesn't feel right anymore. That sentence alone is a sign. If any of these felt familiar, I want you to hear this part carefully. You're not broken. You're not behind. You are becoming. Here's the part we don't like to admit. Why we stay stuck longer than we should. We stay stuck because familiarity feels safer than uncertainty. Even when something no longer fits, it's predictable. And predictable feels comfortable. Looking back, I realized I stayed in certain spaces longer than I should have. Not because they were right, but because they were familiar. And I didn't realize how much that safety was costing me until I started listening to myself again. But here's the mindset shift that changed everything for me. Feeling stuck is not a failure. It's information. It's your soul letting you know that the version of life you're living no longer matches who you're becoming. Once I stopped treating my discomfort like something to fix and started treating it like something to listen to, everything shifted. Here's something simple I want you to do this week. Ask yourself these questions and be honest. Where am I settling because it's familiar, not because it's aligned? Where am I showing up out of obligation instead of alignment? What part of my life feels heavy instead of life-giving? What truth have I been avoiding because it requires change? These questions made me uncomfortable the first time I asked them. But discomfort is often the doorway to clarity. You don't have to fix everything today. Awareness is the first shift. So friends, we've come to the end of this episode. If this episode resonated with you, I want you to know you're not behind. You're not broken. You're being invited to shift. Share this episode with a friend who needs a shift and drop a comment below to let us know which sign resonated most with you. Let's talk about it. Thank you for spending time with me today, and I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, be kind to yourself and to others. Bye-bye, friend.